Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, RWBY Volume 7, Chapter 2 is out. There are plenty of things that I'm going to say about this volume in this review because, well, there's a lot of things to bring up here. So, first off, when looking at this chapter, previously RWBY and her group, of course, they got arrested because of vandalism and, you know, causing a little bit of mischief, throwing a guy in a dumpster. I mean, seriously, bit of mischief, bit of reasoning to get arrested over. Now, one big issue with this already, which I didn't bring up in the last review, which I need to bring up here. When you see characters like, RWBY, Crow, Blake, Yang, Nora, they all should have at least been able to escape from these constraints, considering that, well, for one, RWBY can turn into rose petals, Crow can turn into a bird. You have Blake's shadow clone, you have Yang, who's extremely powerful, as well as Nora. I mean, Nora can literally lift 5 times her own weight, and that is with her being unboosted by her own semblance. So I don't know why the characters were nerfed. They just took that way too realistically, and the characters should have been able to break free, but whatever. So, of course, while they have been captured for vandalism and several other things that had happened when they were in Mantle, there's a guy they meet. And oh boy, they had to spoon feed the politics right here, of course, and just shove it down your throat. Well, here's what I mean. So, of course, we already knew within the last chapter that Robin Hill was running for an election, trying to be on the council, trying to make things better for Mantle as well as Atlas. And, of course, this guy just goes on about it. Apparently, he's an activist for her, which, that sounds very reminiscent of some real world issues that actually did occur if you think about it back in 2016. And of course, the guy gets arrested. Now, what does he get arrested for? He throws a brick at their vehicle. As I stated, how does this sound familiar? Sounds like the riots that happened after the Orange Man became president, and then, of course, riots got really bad. they were for a little bit. But yeah, sounds just like that. And this guy's an activist, so you put 2 and 2 together. You can see what they were doing here. They had to try to force down that spoon into your throat and say, you're going to take the food, you're going to like it. You're going to take our politics. That kind of weighed it down for me. I did like when the guards at least put the window up on this guy. That was kind of funny. But, looking at what was going on next, they make it to Atlas Academy, and they're looking up, and they're wondering what they're going to do. So as they are in the elevator, nobody knows what to do. They're unsure. And so that's when Blake tells RWBY that, hey, you know what? We're going to follow your lead. Because it's not like RWBY's going to do something that she shouldn't do or say, right? Yeah, we're going to get to that in a moment. So then, of course, turns out Ironwood had this whole thing planned. So them getting arrested was them not really getting arrested. It was just them being sent to Ironwood just in a more hostile manner, of course. But Ironwood's glad to see them. And I gotta say, Ironwood, he's really pulling that Keanu Reeves John Wick look. He really is. And I do like Ironwood here. Now, I'm going to get into Ironwood in a moment as well. So, of course, they then start to catch Ironwood up on everything that happened. Now, RWBY even does bring up the hijacking of the Atlas ship that they stole to get there. And then yet, guess what? No consequences for the heroes again. All the antagonists get all the issues, and then the heroes just have no consequences. I do not like that, and I think that there should have been something in terms of stealing the ship, but nothing. There's literally no consequences here. And yet again, just protection for the heroes from any form of bad consequence to their actions. So, I really have a big issue with that. I want to see some consequences. I want them to actually see consequences for their actions. We haven't seen RWBY and her friends take any form of consequence since Volume 3. It realistically just looks like the heroes have just been okay and really just been protected. So Ironwood then goes on to proceed to talk about what his plan is and what he is going to do. So what he plans to do is he plans to take Amenity Arena, and he plans to make it as a satellite so that they can have it as another tower and then be able to still have broadcast and everything so that everybody can communicate all around Remnant. And then, of course, from there, this would be his other idea of having his way of saying, hey, Salem's out there, she exists. And so they pulled back the entire military just so that they could actually have them so that when the people of Atlas start to panic, they can try to take care of the situation. Now, there is an issue with this plan. Now, this goes on to the retcon. While this is the plot of the volume, well, we have another retcon. As if we didn't already have enough of those just within chapter 1, we get another one. Okay, so if everybody remembers the RWBY World of Remnant cross-continental transmit system, which was made back in Volume 3. This was where the kingdoms were able to communicate with one another as long as each of the towers were still standing. And so, obviously, as we already know, if one of the towers fell, then communication would just be local rather than all around Remnant. So, of course, with Beacon falling, obviously you know what that means. It broke communication, and they had to go by local systems to communicate with others. And as many may recall, dust is what fuels their power source, right? All over Remnant. Well, guess what? Dust has also been confirmed that if it goes out of Remnant, that means also the atmosphere, yeah, it plummets. It stops working. It will fall. So, while this idea from Ironwood sounds like a good one, there's that giant hole that just says, yeah, this isn't possible. But, consistency, what is that in RWBY, right? So many things get just retconned all the time. And this bothers me. It really does. I don't like seeing retcons because the world feels more inconsistent that way. And this is another inconsistency built up by the series yet again so that the writers can easily just maneuver through it rather than have to work around what they've already set up and say, hey, maybe we could do it a different way considering we've already set it up like this. And it goes against the world lore. I mean, when you set the laws of the world, you follow them. The Grimm shouldn't even be an Atlas, but they are. I mean, they could have substituted them out for the White Fang had they not been written off, but, I am just saying. But, since this is going to be the plot of the volume, that's just what it is. I really hate to see it be a retcon again, but, here we are. We're already at the 4th retcon of this volume. So then, of course, they inform Ironwood that Ozpin is still there because, he had thought that with Ozpin dying back in Volume 3, he thought that, oh, well, we don't know where he is. Well, they have informed him that, oh, Ozpin is here, here is the situation, this is exactly what is going on. Okay, sounds great, right? But then RWBY goes on to do one big major thing. Lies. Ugh. She tells half of the truth and then half of it being a lie, saying that after the train crash, Ozpin just disappeared and that the relic has no more questions. Oh, really? It seems like RWBY did not learn from the mistakes of Ozpin trying to hide things, because the big issue with Ozpin's character leading up to this point has been him not telling the full truth, keeping secrets, and lying to everyone. That has been the big thing with Ozpin, and now RWBY is blindly following Ozpin's move, doing the exact same thing. And here's my next question. Why didn't Yang say anything about this? Why didn't she have an issue with the situation at all whatsoever? I mean, if we go back, what issues did Yang have? Issues with Ozpin over trust, issues with her mother over trust, and of course, she lashed out about it multiple times. And then, of course, at the same time, let's go back to Volume 5. Volume 5, she even stated that instead of having half-truths, let's tell the full truth and nothing but the truth. Otherwise, why are we going into this fight? Why are we doing this? It's strange to me that Yang would not say a word. I mean, if she can lash out at her mother over trust issues, if she can lash out at Ozpin over issues like this, you would imagine that her own sister, she would try to say, hey, you're lying. Why are you doing that? Or she would try to reveal the truth. I mean, it's okay when her sister does it, but it's not okay when Ozpin does it or her mother does it? Yeah, sure, why not? Whatever, right? Because, RWBY's innocent and can do no wrong, even though lying is the one thing that they've all learned that is a terrible thing. And that they should trust each other more instead of lie to other people. But whatever. Yang's a hypocrite. And Crow. This is the other thing about Crow. Crow believed everything that Ozpin said. He blindly followed Ozpin, and once he found out the truth, it destroyed his world. Because he thought that somebody actually wanted him. He thought that for the first time in his life, he was not actually a burden, and he was actually doing right for the world. And then, of course, it turns out that Ozpin had lied, and he blindly followed Ozpin, and that he was being used by Ozpin the entire time. Which then, of course, he no longer trusted him, which really made him depressed as a character. Great character development, and I really enjoyed that for him. But to see that RWBY is now just blindly following Ozpin, which other people in the past have done, despite the fact of knowing what has gone on. I mean, what is this? That is one of the big issues I had with Ozpin's character. This is why I was always sketchy of his character up until the backstory, which I didn't like that backstory personally. I don't like it. It retcons a lot of things. Plenty of issues. But they're going out and doing the exact opposite of what they thought was right. The thing is, they did not agree with Ozpin's lies. They wanted to be honest with one another. And then here RWBY goes lying about things. She's doing the very thing that they set out to not do. I mean, seriously, RWBY, what has happened to you? These are reasons why I really enjoy the antagonist a lot more than the protagonist at this point in the series. Now, if we were back at Volume 3, I would say, I really enjoy both sides, but now I'm really kind of rooting more for the antagonist. I have been for quite some time, and these are really my reasons why. So, of course, Ironwood then shows his trust to RWBY by allowing her to keep the relic, because he thinks that that would be a good way to show off trust between them, as well as it would just make sense because they were the ones who brought it there in the first place. Now, what I like about this is good because this is development for Ironwood's character, because Ironwood had issues with trust in the past. That was the whole reason why he even brought his military to Beacon in the first place back in Volume 3, was because of trust and fear of Salem. Now, he's starting to show trust, and this is good character development. Instead of just relying upon himself and feeling that he can only rely upon himself, he is now relying upon others, and I think that this was actually a very good development for his character. So, I like this. I do like this a lot for Ironwood, and I think they did a good job here. And I gotta say, in terms of Ironwood, I think he was actually the best character in this chapter. I really enjoyed him. So after that, the group then leaves and they start to go around the academy. Of course, they run to the Aesops. The Aesops apologizes to them for having to arrest them and do what they did. But here's what I'll say that I forgot to actually bring up in the previous chapter. We actually have competent huntsmen. We've seen Team RWBY act as if they are the big bad, the best. This group shows that they are competent huntsmen, at least so far. And this is what we need more of, is more competent huntsmen. Because if you look back at Volume 6, Chapter 1, Tweedledee and Tweedleidiot, they were terrible when it came to being huntsmen. And, of course, RWBY very easily showed them up, So, yeah, kind of sad. Now, they have been relying more upon the comedy aspect, and the comedy wasn't too bad. It didn't feel awkward because a lot of the past volumes, they've just had this awkward comedy that just never stuck. Some of this kind of fit a little bit. I mean, some of it was kind of but some of it was okay. I mean, Nora probably was the best factor of comedy in my opinion. But I'll at least give it that. And then, of course, we get to Watts. Now, the thing is, we see Watts walking around. Turns out that Watts is actually the one who invented the Atlas defensive system. So, that's interesting fact to know about Watts. I really hope that we do get to see more of him in this volume, because Watts has literally been the antagonist that has done absolutely nothing besides Salem. I mean, of course, we know that he's been an expert in technology, but we've never seen him in combat. We haven't really seen him do anything, so we don't know what his skills and abilities are outside of technology. So I think this is the perfect opportunity for them to really work on Watts as well as his backstory, seeing that he is also someone from Atlas. This is a prime time to work on an antagonist and really make them good, and I would like to see that. I would like to see an actual good antagonist character be built up. I think that would be fun, interesting, and to see what his motives are and why he joined Salem. I think that would be great. Now, Tyrion seems like at the point of time, he looks like he's a muscle guy. So he looks like a guy that's just there for the muscle. I mean, of course, in security footage, we see that blood comes from the door when he's exiting. So I think he's going to be the muscle man in this situation. And I'm excited for Tyrion. I really hope they work on his character a bit, develop him. I would be excited to see that because, in terms of antagonists and their backstories and development, it has been very lackluster. I mean, Salem's backstory I think was awful. I mean, at least she has one, but I think it was awful. Hazel's was just very rushed. Mercury's just kind of rushed as well. I mean, we did get to see a bit of it, but I feel like they could have shown more of that. Emerald's was kind of just rushed. Cinder doesn't have one at all as of yet, and Adam, if they even give him one, does not have one as of yet either. So I really hope that they work on Watts, and this is the prime opportunity to do that. Considering that he is from Atlas, this is the prime time for them to give Watts a backstory, for them to explain Watts as a character, and so I hope that they do that this volume, but we'll just have to see where it goes. Another thing I want to mention is this does seem like it's foreshadowing the potential chance of Penny getting hacked. That would be interesting. I wouldn't disagree with that. But we'll just have to see where it all goes. So what is the overall rating? I give this one a 6 because, well, there was some good, but there was a lot of bad. Now, let's look into the good things first, and let's look into the bad. As I stated, Ironwood's development, I did like that. Now that he is relying upon others rather than just himself, this is something good for his character. It's good to see that he's developing in that way, and I think that he was the best character in this entire chapter. So that's a plus right there. So that's a positive. The comedy was okay at times, quite subpar though, but it had its moments. So I'll at least give the comedy that. And we're actually seeing good Huntsman. Finally. At least there's that, because that was a complaint I had last volume, made an entire video on it. So good to see that there are some reliable huntsmen. Hope we do get to see Team Funky in this volume, because we should, considering that they are from Atlas, but, I'm just saying. So, moving on to the bad. The bad things about this chapter is that, one, it retcons yet again. Good God, how many times are we going to go through retcons here? But it retcons what they set up back in Volume 3 of World of Remnant with the CCT towers, of course. So here comes another retcon with Dust and the whole, if Dust leaves Remnant, it doesn't work. And then they're like, oh no, we'll make a satellite out of Enemy Arena, and, in doing so, it'll work. That's a retcon and another inconsistency. So, yay. That's the 4th retcon in this volume already. I'm keeping count. We're gonna have a big count by the time this is over with how many retcons are here. Also, the force-fed politics at the beginning of the chapter was awful. Did not like it, and I have a bad feeling that it is going to happen again in the future. Of course, I have already seen chapter 3 of this volume, so of course I will say some things about that next week, but you get my point. So I really hope that they don't push more of this, but considering Rooster Teeth and them trying to push their political agenda, yeah, I think they're going to do that. I feel like it's going to happen, and I'm not looking forward to that. But also, just inconsistencies are a problem. RWBY lying to Ironwood. I'm not okay with that, because there was no reason for this lie. It didn't need to happen. Not only that, but with the whole issues with Ozpin and what's been going on about him lying to them and not telling them the full truth, you would think they would learn from this issue, and yet, what did they do? Oh no, they didn't. They just think, oh no, we can't trust Ironwood, we gotta lie to him. No, that's not how this works. That's not how an alliance works. It is based off of trust. If the trust is not there, then it is destined to fail. And that is what may happen at this point going forward. So the writers just hammering it in there that, oh, hey, look, Ozpin's ideology is right despite the fact that he was wrong, but he's still right anyways. I'm not buying it. Sorry. That's not how this works. So I have an issue with that. I think that was a big problem. I think that they could have done better there. I think that the characters, Yang and Crow, should have especially said something, considering that they've had so many issues due to Ozpin and trust. But nope, apparently not. So, they just went ahead and let RWBY potentially jeopardize the trust between their group and the entire Atlas military. Not a good idea. So this chapter gets a 6 out of 10, and we'll see where the volume goes from here. But anyways, I'll be back again on Tuesday. Let me know what you think about this entire chapter down below. And thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy the video with a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Share the video. It's greatly appreciated. And it really helps out the channel a lot. And follow me on Discord. Link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.